If you spent a weekend with one of the new coding agents, Cursor, Cloud Code, and watched it build in an afternoon, something that would have taken you 2 weeks, and felt little sick afterward, this video is for you. I'm not going to tell you that feeling is irrational. Engineers all over Silicon Valley felt it this year. Some are calling it the fear of becoming a permanent underclass. I'm going to tell you what to do with being software engineer as software engineer building agentic platform and our biggest advantage. Our experience is literally what makes us good at building AI systems. I have lived it by being an engineer for the last 3 years building agents for enterprises. And most of the people rushing in are actually missing it.
Hi, I'm Ishwin Kaur. I build agentic AI systems in production, the kind that have to survive real users, not just look good in a demo. I've also sat on both sides of the interview table for agentic system design. Here it's going to be no hype, no gatekeeping, just the real building blocks with production experience and how to talk about them when it counts.
And let me be honest about the market first that we are seeing. Yes, the job market is genuinely hard right now. In one of the survey of thousands of engineers, 9 in 10 said it's harder to get a job than before the pandemic. But the market is hard and engineers are obsolete are two different signals completely. And people keep collapsing them into one. So the rest of this video is about that gap between those two. What software engineering really is. Software engineering is building systems that stay correct and reliable under real conditions. So error handling, availability, latency, user experience. What happens when a dependency dies at 2 a.m.? That's a job that we have been doing. And hold on to that, it's a whole argument. What AI engineering is. AI engineering is building systems where an LLM is one component, a probabilistic one, and everything around it is still engineering. You are not training models from scratch. You are orchestrating, contextualizing, and evaluating, and even hardening a system whose core happens to be a language model. So, why software engineering is exactly the right background we need? And here's the part I feel strongly about. The AI will replace engineers. That panic misses what experienced engineers actually carry. You know when systems fail. You know error handling, twice, availability, latency, budgets, what a bad user experience feels like. And here's what I have learned the hard way. Those are precisely the things people forget the moment they start building agentic systems. And why? They get mesmerized by the model and ship a demo with no fallback, no latency budget, no idea what happens when the model actually returns garbage. The engineering discipline that you and I already have is the thing that turns a flaky agent into a production system that is then deployed by enterprises. So there are two different jobs, and you don't need a PhD for one that matters to us. The two jobs people keep merging. The AI ML engineer trains and evaluates models. That path often wants a research background. The software engineer integrates models into real products and builds a system that serves them reliably. So you are not switching careers into the first one, and you are just extending yourself into the second. And you and I don't need a PhD or heavy math to be excellent at it. You also don't need to work at Frontier Lab. So people online will tell you unless you are a top 5% researchers, you won't get hired at OpenAI or Anthropic. Actually look at the data. What they are actually hiring for. Even they need infrastructure engineer. They need software engineers to let these systems actually work. So you see that the requirements are distributed systems, Kubernetes, Terraform, observability, databases, microservices. And that's not a research resume. That's a classic infrastructure engineer that even the frontier labs run on, the exact skills you and I already have. And almost every other company is going to need the engineer who can make these systems work in production in real time. And that engineer is you. Question I see most from senior engineer is that, am I too late? And here's the structural reality that nobody says out loud, and I want to speak that the state of the art in this field goes obsolete every year or two, even months. So everyone is constantly restarting from scratch on the newest layer. That means a 15-year-old engineer and a new grad might be closer at the same starting line on the new stuff than in any field you have worked in so far. And your seniority in systems is the part that doesn't reset. And that's not a disadvantage. So, what's actually new? Two things. First, the NLM basics, enough to reason about how the model behaves. And I made a whole video on exactly how deep you need to go as a software engineer. The link is here. And the second thing, and this is how I personally view AI engineering by working here in AI systems on top of classic system design. So there's a wave of new terms that we hear: prompt engineering, context engineering, harness engineering, loop engineering. And I'll be honest, I'd been building these as systems at enterprise scale for a while. And I was a little surprised when people started showing up and giving them names. They are real, they matter, but they are systems again. And you already think in systems. So I've now both taken and given agentic system design interviews. And I use one structure to not get lost, and I call it core. But first, the part that actually paralyzes people, the overwhelm is real. RAG, fine tuning, agents, a new framework every single week. So let me do the cut for you. Most of it you can safely ignore for now. What actually matters is a small set of building blocks and a way to think in systems. And that's exactly core. And that's the whole channel. C stands for clarify the requirements. O, orchestrate, prompt engineering. How the agent decides what to do next. R, remember, context and memory management. And why you even need it. E is for evaluate and harder. So human in the loop, human on the loop, human above the loop, guardrails and evaluations. Those buzzwords. And I bring core up early in my interviews so the interviewer can steer me towards what they actually care about. And that's the spine of this whole channel. The mindset shift that we all need to normalize probabilistic engineering, which is the hardest adjustment, in my opinion, for a software engineer. Isn't the math. It's accepting that core is going to be probabilistic. And that's not a bug to fix, let's be clear. It's the nature of the NLM. So the job is to build the deterministic systems around it. Structure, validation, guardrails, evals, retries. That make the overall behavior reliable enough to trust. So I'd say make peace with that and everything else will click. You are not automating yourself out of a job, and you are not architecting your own death. I see that line everywhere, and I think it's exactly wrong by being in this field. You are actually becoming the person who is trusted to make these probabilistic systems actually work. Because you already know what breaks when they meet the real world, and that's the whole move. From watching it happen to you to be the one who builds it. And you are not behind. You are carrying the half most people skip, the basics. Next, let's talk about how much you actually need to know about what's inside an LLM, how it works, how it is conversational, how magically it generates those words.
If you take one thing from this, I hope it makes the next interview or the next thing you build a little less intimidating. Tell me in the comment what is still hard or what you want covered next. That's where I get my best ideas. And like if it helped, subscribe for the rest of the series and I'll see you in the next one.